Okay, everybody, it's your good friend Lukie. I got a new channel, a lot of talking head content. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, like the video if you find it informative, and leave a comment if you have something nasty to say. Yep, I said it just like that. Let's get into what I'm talking about in this video, which is a reaction to the Teofimo Lopez Josh Taylor press conference. The fight will be taking place June 10th in New York City, New York, at the theater at Madison Square Garden. It's going to be televised on ESPN at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and all that jazz. Why are we making a reaction video to something as mundane as a press conference? Though, as I mature in my sports watching and my boxing journalism career, press conferences become my time to shine to offer insight. But this press conference was unique in a lot of ways. One of which being Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor has always been a really nice guy. I've always really liked Josh Taylor, even though I've never had any interactions with him. But typically, fight week, he starts to get irritable towards the weigh-in. And he typically is on edge going in, as we saw with Jose Ramirez, as we saw with a bit of Regis Prograis. And what has really stood out to me all fight week for this week is Taylor is really, really content in life. He seems very happy, well-adjusted. And though I'm really happy that he's in that place, because that's a place I think we all strive for individuals, it is an outlier. I don't know how to judge where he is at personally in his life based on previous performances. So, though his well-being and happiness being in a great place, I am a bit concerned based on that. That being said, he's still the lineal junior welterweight champion, even though he lost 3 of his 4 titles. Off the top of my head, the now WBC junior welterweight champion is Regis Prograis, the IBF is Subriel Matisse, and the WBA is Rolando Romero after Albert Puello tested positive for a performance-enhancing drug and now is the WBA junior welterweight champion in recess. Taylor is a fighter where we really don't know what to expect. Since getting one of the biggest wins of his career over Jose Ramirez, we haven't seen him fight. We haven't seen him. We've seen him fight Catterall once, and I think that everyone greatly underestimated Catterall, so we look at that performance and we don't properly evaluate it. That being said, my fear with kind of his mindset and where he is currently is Taylor, he's had a lot of hard fights. Is he coming down from the hill, right? Because he took a lot of fights very quickly to get himself moved up in the rankings, to have that historic run from 2018 to really 2021 and become the face of the junior welterweight division. He basically went through a college calendar to get a graduation, to get a degree, and became the best 140-pounder. Since that achievement, we haven't seen the same Taylor. He's also been inactive because of injuries. I'm not sure if it's that he's happy to be back or if there's something else, but that's something I've taken note of. More concerning to me is Teofimo Lopez. In real time, which is the shoulder program being provided by Top Rank on their YouTube channel, which we've given a link in the description as well. So if you want to go check that out, you can check it out. On the Tuesday of fight week, Teofimo Lopez opted to not have the Top Rank cameras follow him. I understand that position, but it also feels as though, given some of the verbiage Teofimo was saying in this, I interpreted some of this press conference from Teofimo's standpoint as a farewell. I can't tell if that's a farewell from boxing, a farewell from Top Rank, or a farewell of a previous self as he transitions maybe into the man that Teofimo Lopez is becoming, because it seems like there's a lot of outside things. I entered this press conference to kind of see a back and forth exchange between these two fighters. Anticipation, potty mouth, tongue tussling. What I left was actually kind of concerned. I left with feeling that Josh Taylor's in a great place outside of the sport of boxing, but I don't know where Josh Taylor is at currently in the sport of boxing. For Teofimo Lopez, I left with concern with where he is outside of boxing, and I have no clue where his mental state will take him in the sport of boxing. Boxing is one of these things where you could have all the troubles outside of the ring and channel those troubles into a tremendous performance, or it could be a really, really bad performance. I think that what's hard is we can obviously see signs that Teofimo Lopez is going through a lot of things outside of the ring. There's a lot of stresses. And when he gave some of his answers at the press conference, I understand that he's trying to be very sincere and honest with the people. But I think that another thing that kind of scared me or was troublesome to me was Teofimo Lopez feels like he has a lot of weight on his shoulders and a lot of pressure for a young person to deal with. And he's trying to be a celebrity and an entertainer and an icon in the sport while balancing trying to figure out who he's going to be for the next 30 or 40 years. That's a very difficult thing, and I think a lot of people in this platform and in this space often forget how difficult it is being a young person. I think that Teofimo's had to go through an extreme amount of stuff in a short period of time. He shot up like a rocket when he beat Vasily Lomachenko. And then there's just been turmoil after turmoil after turmoil from 2021 onward. We're now on year 2-ish of this, possibly 2.5 years. And this is really the first major event he has done with Top Rank. He's done 2 prior, one with Sandro Martin and one with Pedro Campa. But that was largely, it's the Teofimo Lopez show, and here's an opponent coming in to fight him. This is clearly Teofimo Lopez is the challenger for a world title. And I left a bit perplexed when his big takeaway was a line that said, aim for death, because that's where life begins. And that was the big quote that he wanted to take. And I think that's a morbid quote that kind of gives you an entry point on the thinking of Teofimo Lopez, where he's at right now. And I don't think that's a good place. I think that without disclosing too much of having filmed Teofimo maybe 5 to 6 years ago, I don't really have a relationship with Teofimo anymore, though I deeply respect him and his father. They've always been good to me. I think that one of the things that people don't think about is Teofimo is a very genuine person and a good person. And that though fighters don't want to say this, I think it's true, and I think it's important to bring it out and share it with people. He hears the criticisms, and I think the criticisms at times weigh on him. And to me, this felt like the business of boxing has really weighed on Teofimo Lopez. In conclusion, why I'm making this video, is you have 2 people at 2 different points in their career, but it might end up historically being the same point in their career. We have Taylor, who's gone through the ringer and seems to be pretty content with his boxing career. He views himself as a Hall of Famer. He views himself as one of the greatest fighters. And he, from my impression, was he's looking to add to his legacy. And he's very, very comfortable with his standing in the sport. Then we have Teofimo Lopez, who I think came into the sport wide-eyed, eager to be the star attraction, and didn't fully understand everything that came with the spectacle that he brought on himself, with the exciting performances, with the charisma, with his outlandish behavior. And I think what we're seeing is 2.5 years later, almost 3 years later, the wear and the strain on Teofimo Lopez from everything that he brought on himself, good and bad. This is what business can do to you. If you want to be the vibrant superstar, these are some of the stresses you incur. Now I'm going to go to the final thing, prediction of the fight. This is the very rare fight where I have no idea how this fight plays out. I could see Teofimo Lopez doing what sensational fighters do and have a performance that everyone goes, where was this guy for all these times? I could see Taylor doing that. I don't see any form of advantage. I see 2 fighters who are in distinctly different places, who when you put them in the same room in boxing, typically that's where you get the magic. That's where you get the fan engagement. That's where you get the excitement when you put two fighters in the room together. What I really see is two fighters in two different places who don't really enjoy being around the other fighter. And they don't really have any type of chemistry to make the fight compelling outside of it being a fight. And I think the biggest takeaway for me was I was excited to watch this press conference, and it was strangely boring. And I think that was kind of bizarre, because in the build-up, we've seen the tension between the two, and this was rather respectful and muted. So that's my take on this. I felt that this opinion was something that really just stood out to me. So I wanted to put this out there on my channel to try to grow the channel. As always, if you're helping me build from the ground up, really appreciate it. You know, we're doing it all over again. And sometimes you have to think like this. It's not about what could have been or being sad about the past. It's about being happy that it actually happened. So anybody that's growing with me, anybody that's tuning in, thank you for doing that. And let's just take it one step forward, because every journey starts with one step. And that's all we're doing over here. I'm sharing my insights. I do apologize if this offends any of the fighters, but these are just my honest thoughts. This is completely just body language, boxing journalist, just going off of what I'm seeing to try to give you, the fight fan, a better perspective entering into one of the most exciting fights as we start to enter into summer.